We're looking at Matthew chapter 15 today, and in this chapter we find Jesus having a clash with the Pharisees. The Pharisees were the religious elite of the day, and they were starting to feel under threat from the radical, liberating message of the kingdom that Jesus was preaching, and that was shaking up their status quo. So they come to Jesus with an objection to the behaviour of his disciples, who they felt had been acting in an impure way. So I'm going to read from verses 1 to 9. Then Pharisees and scribes came to Jesus from Jerusalem and said, "Why do your disciples break the traditions of the elders? For they do not wash their hands when they eat." He answered them, "And why do you break the commandment of God for the sake of your tradition? For God commanded, 'Honour your father and mother,' and whoever reviles father or mother must surely die. But you say, 'If anyone tells his father or his mother, what you would have gained from me is given to God, he need not honour his father.' So for the sake of your tradition, you have made void the word of God. You hypocrites! Well did Isaiah prophesy of you when he said, 'This people honours me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. In vain do they worship me, teaching as doctrines the commandments of men.'" You see, the Pharisees claimed to hold God's law in utmost regard. In fact, they liked it so much they'd added their own set of sub-laws and regulations to ensure that not only would they not break God's laws, but they wouldn't even get close to breaking the laws. In the Old Testament, in the Torah, we see 613 commands given by God, but the Pharisees had added many hundreds more oral laws to that they had to follow. These were to help show off their devotion to God and enable others to see how pure and holy they were. But the Pharisees had totally missed the point of the law. You see, the law was meant to show us that by our own efforts we would always fall short, that we would never be able to earn our salvation. And the law was also designed for our protection, to keep us from behaviours that would harm us or those around us. In a similar way to parents putting up a fence at the bottom of the garden to stop children running onto the road, God gave the law to stop his children running into harm. But the Pharisees, in a bid to show off how pure they were, put up secondary and tertiary fences so that pretty much all of the garden ended up fenced off. And in their devotion to the law and their traditions, the Pharisees ended up completely missing the heart of God. They had ignored the words of the prophets. They had neglected God's call to mercy, justice and love. They focused on looking pious, pure and holy, rather than actually living as ones who were pure and holy. They paid lip service to God, but there was no kingdom fruit in their life. So the application is that Jesus tells us that it's the heart attitude that matters. As his followers, we must keep our hearts pure in order to avoid being defiled. We're called to live with real, deep, genuine purity, not a superficial outward facade of purity that's just a whitewashed tomb with deadness at the centre. We're called to live with the purity that comes from being redeemed by the blood that Jesus shed for us on the cross. We might be able to put on a good act of purity to those around us, but it's God alone that knows if we have hearts that are genuinely pure and that love him. So as we finish in prayer, perhaps today, if you're not living with purity, this is a good opportunity to call on Jesus to wash your crimson stains of sin white as snow through the power of his blood, to heal your heart and to make it pure so that you may live with genuine purity today.